You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
See, I'm going to give Miss Jen a chance to say hello because apparently my hamsters are not happy this evening. So, Miss Jen, how are you while I start trying to track down the gremlins?
I'm doing okay. I'm just trying to figure out where I stand in the post-election world. We were talking a little bit off air that it seems that people that had kind of the opinion of us that it was, an election between two really awful candidates, neither one of which we could support, and we had to find some sort of substitute with a third party. That I'm now find myself still in a tough position in which I'm kind of in a wait and see place with the transitioning Trump administration, the forming Trump administration, and still being anti-Trump. So sometimes I'm siding with leftists, sometimes I'm siding with Trumpers, and as usual, I'm not siding with either of the hard-pressed factions on either side because they are all crazy.
No, I mean, completely understandable. And yeah, that's kind of where I've been ever since last week when we saw, what was it, just last week? God, it feels like a month ago already. I'm just saying. But anyway, so.
I know. It's crazy.
It was exactly 1 week ago today that we watched The End of the World. No, I'm just playing. We watched something that a lot of us didn't think was going to happen. We watched Donald Trump clinch the presidency. We have now seen Barbara, If I Only Had a Brain Boxer, crying for the Electoral College to be removed, along with a lot of folks from the left, because, this is now time number 2 that the presidency has been decided with a huge gap in the popular vote, and that's just not acceptable, because it doesn't represent democracy, and for God's sake, Rick, America is a democracy. We should be able, one vote, that's it, that's what everybody gets. So this Electoral College it's got to go. I have heard that so many times this week, and it infuriates me because in the beginning of the night on last Tuesday night, I was hearing the same argument from the right, which is why I'm so funny now watching them make fun of the left for making the same argument, because of a few people in the beginning of the election cycle on last Tuesday night, were like, if he doesn't win this thing but he wins the popular vote, we should do away with the Electoral College.
Yeah, I didn't really see it that much on the right, but that doesn't surprise me. In as much that a lot of these people on the right that are supposed to hold true to conservative values and limited government, and who are supposed to believe in things like the Electoral College because we have a representative republic, a federalist republic, and not a democracy, doesn't surprise me that these people, especially those that wanted Trump, would try to push for something like this. But I do want to know where the heck all of these liberals were, all these Democrats were, where they stood on this, not just a week ago, but 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 years ago, because they haven't been crying for it all. And sure, there has been the random op-ed piece here or another little snippet there. There's always your one or two people that are kind of going to be on that verge of things like that. But for the most part, what were we hearing? We were hearing that it is dangerous to the republic, it's dangerous to the people, and outright treasonous to protest the results of an open and fair election. And that's what this was going to be, as long as Hillary Clinton, the queen, was going to win. As soon as she wasn't winning, everything turned.
And you are exactly right. And it's just funny to watch the craziness. And for a second, I thought everything was muted again because my panel is going nuts. All right, so we also have a guest with us, and because I've been finding the gremlins for the first 9 minutes that we've been broadcasting so far, I haven't even been able to announce him yet. We have the one, the only, Mr. Beaker O'Donovan from Twitter, who actually you may recognize. He used to actually do a bit on one of the other shows we used to have, Wake Up America Radio. He called The Book of Beaker. He is also one of the creative minds behind the Third Rail Ramblers, our very own parody band, who I've actually been playing quite a bit of on the CRN channel over there. So much so that I'm surprised they haven't asked me to stop yet, because I play lots of music on that show, and I'm surprised they haven't yelled at me. But anyway, good evening, Beaker. How are you, sir?
I'm putting the special in special guest.
Better than putting the special in special sauce. Could be worse.
Other than that, I'm doing great.
It could be worse.
Doing
you could
great.
be putting the special in special sauce. So
Well,
I would prefer special guest.
I don't want to go there, especially since you were talking about your hamsters. These are things that shouldn't mix.
Oh, I opened myself up for that one. All right, so
Yeah, pretty much.
one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is we've actually talked quite a bit on Twitter. Not really sure we've ever done a show together. I know you've done one with JD and Stacy. I actually can't remember if I've ever had you on before. I honestly don't remember. If I did, I think it may have been one of the times that I was helping out with JD and Stacy. But anyway, so I don't think we've officially done a show together yet. If we haven't, I've forgotten. I apologize. I'm old. It's just one of those things. But I really like a lot of the insights that you've had on Twitter watching this debacle unfold, and I thought this would be a perfect time to kind of get input from someone who doesn't do radio 25 hours a day, 9 days a week, and kind of get your take on the election, what happened with it, why you think it happened the way it did, and are you still anxiously awaiting SMOT, or are you in wait-and-see mode?
It's until, a week before the election took place, I was in there is no bloody way that Trump wins this. It's not going to happen. And then I wound up taking a trip into Western Pennsylvania, and the area was about as blue as a place can be. And I'm in Texas, and you'd think in Texas, if you're going to just going by stereotypes, if you're going to see a lot of Trump signage, it's going to be in Texas. But I've seen in this area very little outward. Point being outward Trump support. But I go into Western Pennsylvania, and I saw, as I drove around, I saw 2 Hillary signs. I saw 200, at least, Trump signs in people's yards. And I'm not talking little yard signs. I'm talking yard billboards. It was insane. And the weird thing is it was alongside other popular Democrats that were running for local office. So you'd see this mishmash of signage in people's yards. And then I came back to that article that we had discussed online on Cracked, where I think the title was how half of America lost its effing mind. And it talked about the death of middle America, and that policies be damned. Trump represented something. He represented a FU to the establishment. And what he actually says and what he actually does is kind of a moot point. It's what he winds up representing. And it all kind of clicked. And I remember sitting there, and I think I'm even messaging you guys as I was walking around just going, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. He might actually pull this off. So I didn't wind up watching the results because honestly, I'd love to say that I cared, but since it was lose-lose, it was like, do I really want to waste my time sitting up all night watching the election results rolled in? So when I woke up a week ago, I was not all that shocked at the results, but it has certainly been an entertaining spin ever since.
No.
Excuse me while I take a drag up here.
Sure, not a problem. Now, I just wanted to mention the part that you're talking about where you started messaging us and freaking out because there were like billboard-sized Trump signs in the middle of Philadelphia. I was actually telling people that on air for like a week. So another reason why I wanted to have you on, so that way they could hear it straight from the source. And I think the only upside to all of this, because at this point I am kind of myself in wait-and-see mode, and I'm like, you know what, he hasn't been sworn in yet. Let's wait and see. And then he does craziness that has been all over social media about, Bannon's going to inherit Valerie Jarrett's made-up position, which one is crap because our side made fun of that position and the person occupying it. And instead of, when we get a chance, the guy that says he's going to cut everything and make the country great again and save us money doesn't get rid of a made-up position that, last I checked, was quasi-unconstitutional. But then not only that, but he's going to put a Leninist in there. So it's just been a crazy week because I've really been watching the left completely implode, so much so that it's been nice to kind of start making fun of the crazy on the left again. I actually put together a song that I can't play on this one because we're actually under review by iHeart, but I took a lot of the crazy leftist meltdowns and actually mixed them with Crying Over You by Roy Orbison, and actually played that over on CRN over the weekend, and everybody was completely just like, oh my god, that's funny. And actually I've considered, because I've got it matched up perfectly with Miley's meltdown, I've actually considered ripping the YouTube video and replacing the audio and making it an actual video of her saying it while that's playing in the background. I just haven't had time. But it would be something fun to do.
It would. And I think when it comes down to where we are right now, if you're not schizophrenic about it, there's something wrong with you. And I mean that in this way. Let's look at on the plus side. This has been, at least we have the opportunity to not have absolutely terrible Supreme Court justices. That's a plus side. But my big takeaway from this is, now granted, it may have been for the wrong reasons as far as with Trump at the figurehead, but America stood up and said, yeah, not having it. They did not want an establishment Democrat. They did not want an establishment Republican. That's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. Now, where we go, it can wind up spiraling out of control, sure, but there's something to build off of there. There's certainly an opportunity if we can, if enough of America can wake up and say, maybe we don't really need these guys, then that opens our possibilities considerably. I mean, right now, the Democrats did everything that they could. I mean, they took out the candidate that was most popular. They used their super delegates. They used every bit of pressure that they could bring to bear with their mainstream media allies again with the super delegates to make sure that Bernie got squashed, and they put in Hillary. And the voters said no. Her numbers were, and I could be wrong, well below what Obama brought in either of the last two elections. And the establishment Republicans surely did not want, at least initially, did not want Trump. That's who they wound up running with, because that's what was going to be there, and they had no choice in the matter at that point anyway. But I think the fact that voters from both parties said, oh, hell no, and put up Trump, in and of itself, just for that establishment bashing aspect, I think is a positive step. Now, of course, on the downside, we've got orange is the new black, and Trump doing all the same stupid, or I shouldn't say, he's telegraphing that he's going to do much the same stupid that Obama was going to do, and then, of course, his supporters think that's cool, but didn't think it was cool when Obama did it, and that makes me want to beat my head against the desk, and it drives me nuts. So there's certainly a whole lot of bad going on there too, but it's a mixed bag. That's why I don't know how you can just stay on, oh, this is an absolute travesty, or this is the best thing since sliced bread. If you're not vacillating between some kind of hope and some kind of rage, I think there's something wrong with you. Or maybe I'm just projecting my psychosis onto everybody else, which is always a distinct possibility.
Yeah. No. I don't think so. I think one of the only thing that's kept me from, at least in my opinion, quite being so nuts on this one is I've done my best to call it down the middle. When Hillary did something that was crazy, I did my best to call her out. When Trump did something that was crazy, I did my best to call him out. And now I'm kind of doing the same thing, because I'm watching what appears to be, for the moment, and I'm still in wait and see mode, folks, so, if you want to send me hate mail, that's great, but I'm watching what feels like the white chocolate Obama version of the cabinet being appointed, where it's going to be kind of the same general concept of, basically yes men and puppets and everything else all around him. And let's face it, from Trump's own words, that's kind of what he's accustomed to. So, I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, I am still doing my best to say that I pray to God that I was wrong when I signed on as Never Trump, because there are a lot of folks now that are telling me, that I can't really say I'm Never Trump anymore because now I'm rooting for him. And I have to. I mean, let's face it. At this point, he's the captain of the ship. If I'm not rooting for the captain of the ship, then I might as well be rooting for the iceberg, and that doesn't work for me.
Didn't all of us back in 2008, as much as we didn't want to give, when Obama was, when he was finally, when he was decided he was going to be, when it was decided, he was going to be president-elect, all took a deep breath and said, okay, he's going to be the guy. Let's get behind him and see what he does, until we couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I think it's probably fair to say that most folks that I know that didn't vote for him spent as long as they could trying to support him, until it just became, his policies became so unbearable that at some point it just becomes reflexive. It's like, oh great, he's going to do something else. It's going to be bad, as opposed to, okay, let's wait and see. And that's probably a problem too, where you just get so used to the response. And that's what I don't want to do with Trump. I was, for so long, everything he did, was so mock-worthy and so rage-inspiring that it became a reflexive response. Okay, what stupid thing is he going to say now? Well, now he's president, and I don't want to do that. Or he's going to be president. I don't want to get myself into that. I won't say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because he doesn't need any help doing stupid crap. But I don't want to expect that everything that he does is going to be garbage, just like I didn't want to expect everything that Obama was going to do there would be garbage. It took time for that to be cemented. But I don't know. I just don't want to start off with this guy is just going to be the worst thing ever. I want to be able to give him a chance, and I am trying. He doesn't make it particularly easy, but I'm trying.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, Obama didn't really make it easy either. And I have to admit, once it was a foregone conclusion that night, I listened to his speech and I said, if he does half the things he's talking about doing in this speech, other than the weird part where he started talking about this was the day that the tides would recede and kind of the savior-ish type complex thing he seemed to have going on in the speech, when he started talking about reaching across the aisle like nobody ever before and blah, 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 yada, 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 all of which we know was crap now. I really did listen, and I really was hoping that, maybe I was wrong about this unknown quantity, this relatively unknown person who all of a sudden had absolute power over the free world. I mean, and everybody jokes about it because, everybody knows the president really doesn't have absolute power, but they are still the figurehead for the Western world. And now we've gone from...
Got a pen and a phone.
Excuse me?
Sorry. I said, but he's got a pen and a phone.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we've gone from the facilitator-in-chief who had a pen and a phone, and now we've got this guy who I'm afraid is going to wind up starting a nuclear war over Twitter.
I really hope that somebody takes his Twitter away from him. I really, really do.
And Miss Jen, you are being really, really quiet, so jump in anytime.
Yeah, I'm just listening to y'all for a little bit. I think, Beaker's saying here that, it is kind of, it's the exact thing that the left told us that we shouldn't do in 2008 and then again in 2012, which they all told us we should give Obama a chance, that we should at least have respect for him at the beginning of his office and then fight policies once they were put forth, or then disapprove of, certain things that would happen, and not just be against him just to be against him because he was Obama and because we didn't like him. And the other thing that we were always told was because we were racist. But it's the flip now, it's now, this is how it always is. I mean, it's the hypocritical left. They're just they can't help themselves. It only matters what matters for them right at that moment, at that time. And then when the tables turn, all that logic and reason goes out the window, and it's a whole new set of rules, which is just infuriating. And is part of why we have someone like Trump, is because people are sick of that crap in a variety of ways. And all across the board, covering many different issues. They're sick of it. And here we are once again, and we've got the right is still split. I think we didn't realize how fractured the left was until this election, but they're not. I don't feel like they're as outwardly divisive and, kind of cutthroat as we have been on the right and has been displayed throughout this campaign with the pro-Trump, never Trump factions. But, they've got some deep fractures as well that are going to take a while to heal in order for them to get a win. But, I don't appreciate being told that I should just be scared out of my mind and I should wear a safety pin and be in solidarity with these ridiculous protesters that have just gone so above and beyond what an even normal protest should be. And for what? I mean, what are you protesting? It was an open and fair election. If their objective is to overturn the results, then they're absolutely calling for something treasonous. I mean, they're a danger to the republic. If all they're doing is making their voice known, well, okay, I still think you're a titty baby. But and then you've got the never Trump people kind of wanting us to be in line with that. And then you've got the pro-Trump people that want us to be all in. And I'm with you in that I can only do what I can to give him a chance. He doesn't make it easy, but he's not in office yet, and we don't have policies yet, and we don't know. He can name all the people he wants to name. Nobody's been confirmed. So we'll see what happens. And I can't really just go nuclear just yet on anything that's happening right now with this Trump transition team. It's much ado about nothing, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
Wow, the Trump training team. I like it. Right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to use that. We're gonna have to use that. I'm just saying, the Trump training team. That's it from now on. I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? There was that old Patrick Swayze movie where he played a drag queen. I'm so gonna find audio of that, and we're gonna put together a bit about the Trump training team. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, they are. They still have their training wheels on, right? I mean, this is a guy who some of his top staff people that have been on the campaign with him went into this meeting and were like, wait, we have to replace how many people? We have to hire how many people? Wait, there's not like a built-in group that comes with the White House? I mean, it's laughable, but it's not unexpected to me. I mean, that didn't really blow my mind. It made me laugh out loud, but it didn't really blow my mind.
Yeah, you don't realize how many people really don't understand the inner workings of stuff when, because even I actually scratched my head for a second because I heard them say that he had to, by the time it was all said and done, there was going to be a replacement of I think it was 4,000 to 5,000 people. And I'm like, dude, we usually hear regularly about 16 to 20 tops. What the heck are the rest of these people doing? And why do we don't even know they exist until election time?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I actually had a Facebook. My Facebook has just been a mess. I've mostly stayed away from it because I would just rather burn in hell than read half the crap on there. Also, remember, I'm in Austin. I went to school at the University of Texas, a very, very liberal university. I lived in New York and LA. I have a good chunk of my friend base are minorities and gays, and so I get a lot of hot takes across my feed, and I love them anyways.
So what you're saying is you're a cuck.
I'm a total cuck, but I love them anyways, and they love me, and they're not terrible people, and they don't think that I am, and they know my politics, and that's fine. But it's amazing though how they're allowed to talk on social media, and that's all good and great, but if anybody on the right does, then that's something to all jump on and be berated. And I made even some very mild comments that weren't really that political and got completely just lambasted. Luckily not by my friends, but by friends of friends, that jumped on board. But I have all these things coming across my feed and they're just unbelievable. And one of them today was 1 week into the Trump presidency and blah, 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 blah. And it's dude.
Hasn't even been sworn in yet.
No.
He got called out, and this is a college grad. He has a good job. He owns a house. Like, this is not just some like idiot, like ski bum or something. He's a worthwhile member of society. It's incredible what people don't understand. They just don't even get
the beauty of it.
Fundamental basics of this government.
The beauty of it is that they refuse, like children. They don't understand, and they will not admit that what they're doing is what is hurting them. I mean, they're just going out and throwing a nationwide temper tantrum, and they can't really hide it anymore. And that's all this is a temper tantrum, and the media can spin it however it wants, and they're trying, but it still comes across like a temper tantrum. And when people also have come to realize that and like you had said, Jen, is that had the right done this, oh snap, they'd be racist, they'd be sexist, they'd be homophobic, or the ism du jour would wind up being thrown out there. And it's really on display, and it continues to hurt them, and they cannot comprehend. I think some of them know it, and deep down they probably all do, but they just can't take it. They're not getting their way. They're not getting, and the participation trophy isn't coming into effect, and they're losing their minds. And all they're doing is digging themselves into a deeper hole, which in some ways is gratifying, in other ways is terrifying. But it's what drove Trump into office, and they're doubling and tripling and quadrupling down and just waiting for, this can't be. We get our way. We always get our way if we cry.
They're just digging their heels in, and they don't understand why there are people that weren't even necessarily Trump voters. I know several independent voters, and they're not nearly as politically inclined as I am, but they do stay pretty interested and pretty informed. And, my friend's like, why this is so disgusting to my husband that's working 2 jobs for our family and works with his hands and has to go sometimes 70, 80 hours a week. And they're crying in the streets. And now it comes out most of them didn't even vote. I mean, it's just utterly repulsive. And that is why we got Trump. And you're just making it worse. They're just absolutely like, how do you even have time to do this, number one? And number two, like, what spoiled, privileged little children are you calling the rest of us names? How dare you? How dare you? If Trump was to be on a ballot tomorrow, I'd vote for him. And that's what they're saying to me. And these are people that were not pro-Trump. It's embarrassing.
No, I completely agree. All right, folks. Well, believe it or not, we're already to the bottom of the hour, so we've got to take a really quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion between myself, Jen, and our special guest speaker, O'Donovan, who happens to be one of the smartest guys I know on Twitter, even if most of the time he likes to pretend otherwise. We'll be right back here in just a couple of minutes. You are listening to Jen and Rick right now on KLRNradio.com.
Myself to do what it is you think I should.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
We fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, already into the second half of the show. We have been discussing with Jen and Rick and our good friend Beaker the election aftermath and the fallout from the left and the... Actually, Jess from Jess's POV has been hanging out, listening on Twitter. She actually had a pretty good one where she said we've gone from Trumper tantrums to temper tantrums because, everybody was freaking out over Trump before. Now they're just watching his meltdowns on Twitter. Now the left is melting down because they don't seem to understand how they lost. And, we were talking about the participation trophy mentality before we went to break. And, that's been showing up more and more in a lot of other ways. If we go back to the incident, I believe it was, I'm trying to think of the incident. I think it was I think his name was Michael Brown. The guy, the bigger guy that was roughing up a shop owner, taking stuff he wanted, and then was confronted by a cop and eventually wound up being shot because he didn't know how to deal with authority. Part of that is...
Hands up, don't shoot.
Yeah, part of that is the blowback from the whole participation trophy mentality because there are no consequences, there are no winners, there are no losers. Everybody comes out okay, and everybody gets what they want. We're watching this on a macrocosm now. Michael Brown was a microcosm of it. Now we're watching it all over the country in a macrocosm because the entire generation of the participation trophy crowd are like, oh my God, we lost. We've never lost. Nobody's kept score before. This never mattered before. Where's my sticker? Where's my ribbon? Where's somebody telling me it's going to be okay? Where's my pizza? Where's my therapy dog? Come on, somebody give me something to work with here because I cannot believe that we have Donald Trump as president. America is racist. That's most of the college age left. Actually, I was in a tweet with Jackson Richmond, a group earlier, where he was talking about there were even kids from the college that he's going to that were marching on D.C. over Trump. First question I asked is Bryce going? He's like, I don't know. I've never met him. I'm like, oh my God, please don't let Bryce go. But who knows?
Well, it's funny you say that. One of my most moved tweets in the last week has been one that I thought was kind of a throwaway. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was kind of wrapping up some things, and the protests were on TV, and I was just said pretty simply, like, this is what happens when you don't discipline your children and you give out participation trophies. And I mean, it went wild. People were like, and of course I had so many frogs retweeting it. I wanted to shut my computer down, but whatever. It's so true though. People relate to that. It's like, wait, when you have an entire generation that has not been told no and that has been applauded and back-patted and coddled for every little thing, good or bad, and doesn't understand boundaries and guidelines, and they've just been taught they're so special and so unique, and everything can be what they want it to be, no matter how realistic that is or not. This is what's going to happen, and it's our own fault. It's their parents' fault. It's society's fault for encouraging it. It's all part of the deal, but you got to grow up sometime, and I hope that maybe this experience helps a few of them, though I doubt it.
Just to kind of change topics for just a second, because something came across my feed that kind of got my attention, and it reminded me of a conversation that I overheard today. There actually, when I stopped to get breakfast this morning, there was a group having a discussion at the table they were at, and there was an older man there who was talking about, the one thing that never changes. If you like war, you should vote for a Republican. If you want peace, you should vote for a Democrat, because every time a Republican is in office, they do everything they can to make sure that they broker weapons deals and make sure that their weapon manufacturer cronies that are in their pockets make money. And of course, I'm eating my breakfast. I'm on my way to work, so I'm like, I'm not really going to start an argument with a 60-year-old man. But the reason I bring all of this up is because there was just a nice little story that came across my timeline feed that apparently, through Obama and Clinton have approved $278 billion in weapons exports, more than double the total under Bush, most of which went to Saudi Arabia. So take that, whoever you were sitting at McDonald's telling me that Republicans are warmongers. You bastard. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a surprise. I think it's another kind of age-old thing that you just say about Republicans to say it regardless of the validity of it. Bill Clinton, though not having any sort of major official wars like Iraq, certainly did enough damage, and our military has been extremely active all over the globe under various presidents from both parties forever now. So it's just one of those things that they keep saying, hoping it just makes it more and more true.
Yeah, it just reminds me of one of those old tired things they say over and over again.
Yep, exactly right. Well,
the
hey,
only truism.
Can we talk for just a second about how what would need to happen in order to change the Electoral College? Because they are all over it. I mean, there's an article written by every major publication, if not two or three, about why it's an antiquated system, why it needs to go. And, we talked about a little bit for a second that Boxer introduced that bill. Have they looked at the electoral map? Have they looked at the most recent political map? Do they remember what just happened on Tuesday?
No, they don't.
It seems like they are, for some reason, thinking that either A, they can petition their way into bringing it down, or B, they can just get some senators to vote on it, which I would like to remind them that we did keep the Senate and we kept the House, so Congress ain't going to do it. But even more than that, say they could get Congress, they have to get 3/4 of the states. Which states, how are they thinking this is going to happen?
This is the same people that sat down in the middle of the Senate floor and had a little camp out. It's about thumping chess. It's not about actually doing anything. They have to make themselves feel self-important.
Exactly. And I would argue that something like what Boxer did today and what some of these other people that very well understand what is going on, and if they don't, then they should vacate their seats immediately if they do not understand how this works and what it would take in order to pass something like dismantling the Electoral College. But if they are just doing it to show some sort of, solidarity with the protesters and to give all of these leftist people, these leftist crybabies, a fist pump and be like, yeah, that's what we should do, then I would argue that they are inciting more division and unrest, purposely so, which is incredibly dangerous, and they know it.
Jen, the
Yes.
police acted stupidly. Just another throwaway line. That's just the way they were. Just whatever, however they can thump their chest and make themselves feel important.
Yep.
It's going to go.
It's just crazy. I just don't understand. I do. I do understand. I get it. People don't understand big words like democracy, republic, and the various meanings of them, nor do they care to educate themselves on how we got to this place and maybe read a Federalist paper or two, specifically number 68 by Hamilton and number 10 by Madison. But, whatever. I guess that's a little too much to ask.
Hey, Jen, what are all these big words and
names
that you're dropping?
I'm sorry.
Where are my waffles?
So sorry.
Racist,
Should us all be ruled by the
lick-it-owning.
majority?
Okay, so what? Now, it's a question for the group. Was I the only one who tormented myself by watching Trump's 60-minute interview?
What the hell is wrong with you? You need therapy.
actually-
Why would you do that?
I watched clips. I was going to watch it and had other stuff going on, but I've seen clips.
Well, I watched it because, I do like 10 shows a week and try to write for papers when I can find spare time. So it was kind of important. Now, I have to say, one of the things I thought was interesting was when I heard him actually say, well, I don't think I'm going to take my presidential salary, but I think I'm legally required to take $1 a year. How are we going to know whether or not he takes the salary when he won't show anybody his taxes?
I guess it would go in the I guess it would be documented, on the opposite side, by the government and by the White House. But I thought they have to take it, but they can donate it to charity. I thought that there had to be some sort of.
He's going to donate it to the veterans.
Well, I thought, maybe he'll donate it to the Clinton Foundation.
Ooh.
Couldn't you just
Why
see
not?
that happening? And to show good face, she's a good friend, she's good people. I'm just going to go ahead and give it because this is a great foundation. It's great. They do great work. And it's all the charities and they give to the poor people and, and that's what I'm going to do. And this shows. Are you kidding me? Of course you would. It'd be great.
So
more TV.
Speaking of the Clinton Foundation, one of the things that honestly I laughed so hard I almost fell out of my chair was Donald Trump, the king of the line of Hillary Crooked, was sitting on 60 Minutes talking about how he didn't really want to hurt the Clintons because they're good people. So he was reconsidering the idea of a special prosecutor. Isn't that kind of what we've been screaming all along, is that these people were friends? And this was all kind of a setup that for some reason didn't work as planned? I mean, come on. Hillary Clinton, and I didn't really have a chance to talk about this on any of the other shows because we were up late so long the night before that I didn't really do a show for the next couple of days because I was prepping for CRN. But Hillary Clinton actually left everybody hanging the night that she found out she wasn't going to be president. So she had a bunch of people that were working for her that she left alone in the dark again. But I think that's because in some ways, I don't think anybody expected what happened. I don't even think Trump expected what happened. Because I still really cannot get past the idea that these people were friends. There were all kinds of memos that were leaked that she wanted Trump to be the nominee for a very specific reason. And it just, I get the feeling it was rigged from the jump, in between the DOJ blocking for, the FBI blocking for, the Democratic super delegates, all of these things. And it was supposed to be her turn. And I think they wanted Trump at the forefront because they really thought that he was the one they were going to be able to beat. And even this vaunted Clinton machine couldn't do it. And when they couldn't do it, she left everybody hanging overnight and just had some little lackey come out and say, just tell him to go home because I'm not coming out there. And then she was 45 minutes late to the speech the next day. I mean, to me, it's as crazy as Ben Carson today saying, well, I'm not really comfortable taking a position in the Trump cabinet because it's not really what I'm looking for. And then there were all these stories that came out about him saying that he wasn't really comfortable because he felt like he was underqualified. I don't know whether any of that was accurate or not, because you can't really look at a news story anymore and run with it after 30 seconds after you read it, because you just never know anymore, because it's all so based on clicking and who's going to read it that they're willing to lie as long as you're willing to click. So it's just one of those things.
As much as I hate to say it, and I do think that, I mean, obviously the Clintons and Trump were certainly friends at one point, if that didn't continue. But if he did wind up if he did appoint a special prosecutor to go after Clinton, it would only wind up serving to add to the division that's already there. It may be for the wrong reasons. He may be doing it because she's her buddy, and it's not the right thing to do, because if you break the law, if the law should equally apply to everybody, or it doesn't. But we're so fractured already, it may not be the worst idea in the world not to wind up, at least him leading it. If the FBI is still running with it, that's one thing. But for him to publicly still be going after her is probably not the best thing for the country at this point. And that pains me.
Oh, well, no, I mean, don't misunderstand. I actually think it was a smart move on his part, because it sounded quite tyrannical when she's popped off with something and he's like, well, when I win the election, you'll be in jail. I'm like, that really should not have been something you said. So if anything comes of it, which I don't know if it will, because I'm sure Obama's going to break out his pen at the end of his term and pardon everybody, including himself and Michelle, for whatever their role was in all of this, which I think is the real reason everybody's been blocking the entire time, because we already know that he was using an unsecured email, because he actually called himself Token Barry at the email, which, I don't know, seems kind of weird to me. Sounds like something I'd do, actually. Just saying. But just doesn't really strike me as something that he would do. All right, so believe it or not, we are almost out of time. Anybody got any closing thoughts before we start doing the round robin to give out contact information? Unless, of course, you don't want.
My only thing is, how dare Trump? The media is super, super, super pissed at him. He went to eat a steak and snubbed them tonight.
If I had to choose,
ditched his press pool for a steak.
If I had to choose between the press pool and the steak, I'm a fat kid. I'd pick the steak every single time.
By the way, I think that might be the smartest thing he's done so far.
That's funny. And that's hats off to Trump on that one.
Good one. I have to admit, I can get behind him on that one, because if I had to choose between going and hanging out in front of a press pool,
they are freaking out. They are acting like such little babies, as you can imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can imagine. They've been the elite for so long, and I think that's another reason why they've been really afraid of Trump, because now they realize they're not going to have the deference that they've gotten from the Obama administration. Because, I mean, let's face it, they have treated him with kid gloves. He has done the same thing to them, and it's just crazy because they know a lot of that is about to come to an end. I think the thing that scares me the most is I'm afraid that things like Breitbart and all the other really crazy blogs that everybody's starting to pay attention to are going to wind up being the ones that get like front row seats in the press corps now. That would be kind of creepy.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway.
Ugh.
Oh well,
I don't even want to
least,
think about it all.
at least we are not big enough that I have to worry about putting somebody in the press corps. Ugh.
Oh man, well I mean, bias media gonna bias no matter which side it's on, so whatever.
All right, so Beaker, since you are the guest, if you'd like, go ahead and give out any social media contacts that you want for anybody that you might want to hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with us.
Yeah, so as I look madly to see what is actually my Twitter handle here. Yeah, I'm pretty much I don't do a whole lot. I just kind of make snarky comments on other people's comments usually. But I'm at O'Donovan on Twitter. Would always love to see the comments.
He is the king of the one-liner. I love it because
he is so good.
I love it because every once in a while I'll sneak one out there and I don't think he's caught it, and then I'll go back and look like 20 minutes later and there it is, and I'm like, there's my Beaker.
Yep. No, so good and very poetic too. Like he'll just come in with these like several different lines, and I'm like, oh, you responded so differently than anybody else did, and it's so funny. It makes me laugh. Pointed. All right. Well, I am at Jay Homestead. I have to warn everybody, I'm a little bit in a I don't give a crap mode lately. So I'm not holding any bars back on Twitter. I'm sort of on Facebook too at JR Homestead and misfitpolitics.weebly.com.
Lately, she says.
And you're brilliant. Don't forget that.
Well, thanks, Joe.
Well, that much is true. Okay, and I, of course, am Rick Robinson. I am actually the slub of the group this evening, but you can hang out with me on AOTR_host. You can also email me if you want. You can do that at rick@klrnradio.com or ricky@thesparkradionetwork.com. And you can hang out with me about, 10 times a week at this point? America Off the Rails actually coming up live next here at 11 Eastern, Sunday through Thursday. Then we have the Robinson and Wright Show on Friday nights at 11 Eastern. And then, of course, the Jen and Rick Show, which you're listening to right now, on Sundays and Thursdays. And yes, I even do a show on Saturdays, and that would be Finding Common Ground. And then, of course, you can catch America Off the Rails on Saturdays and Sundays over on crntalk.com. And as I've been ending a lot of shows lately, yes, I am a workaholic, and it's been 43 years since my last meeting, almost 44. On that note, folks, we are out. I look forward to being with you live here in just a minute as soon as we change gears right back on America Off the Rails right here on klrnradio.com. And I look forward to being back with Jen this coming Thursday. I'm assuming, Miss Jen, that we are taking next Thursday off.
What? What's that holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. The Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's really Cultural Appropriation Day and, anti-Native Americans because we just killed them instead of... Well, I say we. I wasn't a Native American too, so I'm split on this, man. But,
See,
I have to figure out who I am. Real quick. But after that, let's take it off.
I kind of figured because... we're going to have family over and cooking and everything all day. And
right.
I didn't really figure you wanted to mess with it, but I just realized because it just dawned on me that with as early as the month started, Thanksgiving seems like it's happening really early this year.
It does. It feels super close.
All right. Well, I want to thank again our guest, Mr. Beaker, for hanging out with us for the entirety of the show and giving us some insight to the craziness that is this election, because, once you started talking about Philadelphia and seeing red signs everywhere, I was like, there ain't no way. And sure enough, I actually have friends out in Philly that were or in the Philadelphia area, and Pennsylvania, that were telling me basically the same thing, that pretty much in Philly itself, Democratic signs everywhere. Pretty much everywhere else, it was all Trump. So I was just kind of surprised by that. But
where
anyway,
all the crime is, that's where all the mail-order signs were.
Pretty much. And on that note, folks, we are out. Have a great night. I'll be back with you in just a minute.
Thanks again, Rick.
You are welcome, sir.
Rick, you are the James Brown of radio.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.